Okay, well, sometimes you have to do what you got to do, and this is a reboot. We started it, but we lost the Wi-Fi feed, and so this is a new start. I'm going to be jumping right in here. My name is Carl Krebs. I'm the host of Things That Matter, and today, on April 20th, we are going live from the Alberta-Saskatchewan border and from the Ontario-Manitoba border. We're talking to people that are out there right now, people that are concerned about the carbon tax and what it has meant and what it will mean. And so without further ado, I'm going to add my guests to the stage. Welcome, Miranda. Welcome, Dallin, and welcome, Cheryl Zimmer and other people. Sorry about that, but we do what we got to do, right?
Exactly right.
Yes.
All right,
Censorship
good.
is real.
Yes, absolutely. We don't know what happens, but it happens in moments. So I'm scrambling here, but I'm glad to see you're all there. Thanks for hanging with me, guys. Well, as I said in the prelude, it's April 20th, and the number of days have clicked off. We've got 20 days already underneath us since our famous Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, gives us another gift of a raised carbon tax, 23%. And you guys are out there to raise the profile and raise the awareness for it. So let's start with Cheryl Zimmer and Amber Joe. You're out there on the Ontario-Manitoba border. Tell us why. What's it all about? Why are you guys out there? It's cold. You could be at a Jets whiteout. Who knows?
Priorities, right? Priorities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, we know that the numbers are a little down today, right? You guys out there on the Ontario Manitoba border are still having the enthusiasm as if you were a huge crowd. But I always say it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. And you guys are remarkable.
Absolutely.
Thank you for making yourself available. What's the response out there as cars drive by leaving Manitoba into Ontario? What's the response, guys?
What's the response?
Oh, they're absolutely positive.
We get horns honking all the time still, which is good. We get people actually stopping in and asking what we're doing, and then they're all applauding once they realize what's happening. We get people that are wanting to know what's going on, and then like at the tourist center, because we're at the tourist center, right? So a lot of people are stopping of all kinds and asking questions, and once they hear it,
Even the truckers have come over and joined our barbecues today and last week. Just thanking us for being here and doing what we're doing. It's been pretty fantastic.
Well, you mentioned truckers.
Pretty positive.
Speaking from the experience of a trucker, I can tell you
Can't
carbon tax is a reality for a lot of truckers, especially owner-operators. They've seen a dramatic increase in the number of taxes and the amount of taxes that they're
Carl, I can't hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Hopefully, let's go out to Miranda, Coots out, and also Dallin that are on the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. What's the response out there, guys?
It's great. It's wonderful. We generally, that's all the time. We generally have pretty good turnouts on the weekends. Sometimes during the week, depending on the weather, we can see quite a few people as well. But it's great. It's everything I was hoping for. Maybe a few more numbers would be great, but it's definitely not a fail.
Yeah. Dallin, I had the pleasure of meeting you at the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border a few weeks ago, and I said I would follow up. So you've moved from the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border to support the effort out in Lloydminster. Is that correct?
That's correct. My full-time employment is farming, and the weather is getting nicer. It's time to get the drills pulled out and start putting the seed in the ground. So unfortunately, we can only give so much time. All of us have dedicated, so much time to being out here, but we've got bills too, and we've got families to take care of, and the farm called. So and the same thing happened with Tanner. We were both leads there at the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border. We both had to return to the farm. But I was lucky enough to be able to travel out today and spend the day with Miranda and Lloydminster. And then I'll be traveling on to Cochrane to see Judy Martins and her crew. So, you know, from the beginning, I've always said this is a team effort. And if I can't be at my location, but I've got a free day or a free 2 days, I'm going to get my butt off the couch and I'm going to get out and support the people that are holding the line. Miranda, day 21, like it's incredible. We gotta work together.
Yeah. Okay, for just a quick response there. I know your farming background and you're a farmer. Just in a quick response, how has this carbon tax affected you as a farmer?
Well, I don't own the farm. I work for a farmer, so I don't see the bills. I don't feel that pinch, right? I get my paycheck. But funny you say that because I'm holding a document here from APAS, and that is the Agriculture Producers Association of Saskatchewan. And to give you a little idea just how much this carbon tax is affecting farmers, on the rail portion alone, to get the grain from the elevator to the port, with this new increase, it will cost Saskatchewan farmers $56 million. That is $56 million. And that is just one aspect.
Right.
So when you ask how this is affecting our farmers, in a big way.
We're going to be talking about that on our next segment of Farm to Market with my very experienced friend Harry Siemens, who's been covering the ag industry for over 50 years. That is an excellent article. Thank you for sharing that, and I'll look forward to actually receiving it from you. But if I think of that number, is this possibly, because we know the government is intentional about reducing the amount of fertilizer that can be used on farms, it's just another way to attack the farmers, just another way to bankrupt the farmers, because farmers in the United States, there's been a depletion in numbers of somewhere in that, well, I think it's 400,000 farmers have gone out of farming in the last few years. It's got to be paralyzing for them, because all of this is going to either make its way to the market or there's not going to be farmers to bring it to the market.
That's exactly right. And you know, not only that, but look at it from a consumer level, from a point of view from each one of us on this live. That food that the farmer is growing, we then have to buy. So if they're cutting the fertilizer rate by 30%, so that crop is yielding now much less. Well, that's also going to drive the price up at the grocery store, affecting all of us. This isn't a farmer issue. This isn't specifically one person's issue, but as a collective. And that's what we've been saying from day one out here on April 1st when we kicked this off.
The only person the carbon tax doesn't affect are the politicians, because we pay their share too.
Yeah, good point there. Out to you guys, Cheryl and Amber. Amber, you told me a story. I'd love you to just tell that story of how this even makes its way down to some of the most innocent people in our lives, our children.
I can't.
And
Once
they're
it's illustrated,
asking,
tell them on the phone.
they're asking, your kids had a response to this. Would you care to share that story? I'm putting you on the spot, but I think you're going to want to tell it.
That's the way they told me on the phone about it. So,
Carl, your volume,
I can't hear you.
It went from a 10 probably down to a 2 since quarter way through this live. I can barely hear you, and I'm in my truck. I can hear everybody else perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't hear Carl. That's why I keep putting the phone up to my ear.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's going on there. The Alberta group, I guess, can hear me fine. If you can hear me, Amber, I'm just going to ask you the question about what your daughter said to you about a dream she had, and how this is affecting even young people as they see what their moms and dads are doing.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Okay, so my daughter is 9 years old. She is having nightmares. This one specific nightmare, she woke me up with dreaming that we were homeless and not being able to eat. She woke me up crying in her sleep that she hadn't eaten all day long. Now this this got me right in the gut, Carl, because I'm telling you, I mean, we're not doing too bad right now. We have a roof over our head. We never have, like, we don't ever go without food or whatever. So for her to go that far and to have dreams like that right now, it really is a concern for me. Yeah, the only thing I can truly say is, I hope it was just a nightmare and not a premonition. You know, kids have a clear third eye, if you will, and I'm just really hoping that that isn't going to be our truth in the future.
I always say out of the mouth of babes, we hear some of the most incredible things. And your daughter doesn't have to understand the full implications of a carbon tax, but she can see that mom is worried. And our children can see that we're troubled.
Yeah,
And our
yeah.
children
Well,
are
she
our
she sees it
future.
everywhere, right? And kids are like sponges. They hear something in passing, and they come home and they have questions. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and I'm not gonna explain the whole thing for them, but I'm not gonna lie to them either. I think it's important that they have a rough idea on what's going on in the world. Now, I used to be one of those people that, and I sometimes still am. I don't follow the news because we don't actually learn what's actually going on in the world, I don't think. But um, the some things that she comes home, or both my children come home with, has actually floored me a lot in the past short while. It makes me very concerned for our future.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look forward, this kind of constant increases in taxes is going to affect us. Miranda, what has it meant to you and perhaps your family, your loved ones, as you dialogue with the people in your life? How is this manifesting itself in their speech and in their possible anxieties or even fears?
Well, actually, I was just going to touch on what Amber said. I have a 10-year-old son who, wanted to take me to our yard to pick bottles here a couple weeks before the protest. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm going to take the bottles in, Mom." And I said, "Why?" I said, "Like you don't have very many." And he says, "Mom," he says, "every nickel counts when you need to pay the bills, and I just want to help." And so, I mean, they get it. And like Amber, I'm not going to lie to my kids. I'm not going to make it as bad as it actually is, but I'm definitely not going to lie to them. And, since starting this protest, I've actually ended up in quite a pickle myself because our landlords have decided to sell our home. And so I'm now looking
Oh.
for a place in a city that has no rentals and 5,000 people
Mhm.
looking. So I've never been in this position. 47 years, I've never been in this position. So like this is going to continue to affect people in very rapidly, right? It's happening very rapidly. And, I'm very blessed that most of my family, my immediate family is all on board. As a matter of fact, one of my night security and my right-hand man out here has been my uncle the entire time. So I've been very blessed to have that. And, but, like it's getting to the point where my older children who are out on their own are now talking about, Mom, like we might have to get a place together, all of us, and live because none of us can afford to be on our own if we even want to afford a jug of milk or a loaf of bread at this point. And my oldest son is a celiac, and so his costs are 10 times what mine are. I mean, I used to eat very healthy. We used to eat very organically and fresh off the farm type of food, and now it's not a blessing, but at least I can go back to eating the crap food where he can't, right? And so there's no way for him to survive. And he runs a company and he can't afford to live on his own. He's 29 years old.
Wow. Wow. Food, shelter, and clothing. I don't know if there's any one of them that aren't going to be affected by this constant taxation and the immediacy and the immediate impact of this carbon tax is going to affect all of them. We're seeing, of course, grocery prices hit all-time highs, and the end result is that we have an increase in people going to food kitchens. We know that. We have people downgrading the quality of their food to be able to fill a hole in
Well,
someone's
Carl,
belly.
Carl, did you know that there are multiple, if you look it up, if you just look up the word dumpster diving on Facebook, there are dozens and dozens of groups on Facebook of Canadians teaching each other how to dumpster dive for the best possible food without getting super sick.
Yeah.
That to me,
Yeah.
and this was brought up in the House of Commons. This dumpster diving group was brought up in the House of Commons, and it was a joke to the House of Commons. So
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Let's just go over to Dellen and then over to Cheryl and Amber. Comment on that happening in a G6 country, which is absolutely abundant with resources. We see all kinds of stockpiles of food. I see all kinds of ways. How do you put that into context if we got people dumpster diving, Dellen?
How do you put it in context?
Yeah. How do you? It's such a struggle, you know. Even last night, I arrived late last night, and I found out that there was a homeless encampment here in Lloydminster that was just they had to move. The cops rolled in, and the lady, one of them showed up here last night, and we talked to her this morning, and we comforted her and just asked what her story was. And you know, they gave her 15 minutes to get her belongings and move on from there, and there was no place for her to go. You know, luckily Miranda's got this location, and she came here, and I don't imagine she felt too good about it either. And we went up to her this morning and had a good conversation and offered her breakfast and offered her lunch, and she's sitting at the table with us. So there is no reason why Canadian citizens should be suffering. You know, you've got these pages because of the amount of food that we actually waste. And there's so many people suffering right now.
You bring that point up, and there's been no argument for a long time that what we waste.
Oh, Dylan, sorry, Carl. Dylan, don't you find that doing what you do, the people that come out and just spill their heart out and tell you these stories are just heartbreaking?
I've said this since I got back from Ottawa, and I think it's a main driving factor why I personally continue to do these things. Is it's therapeutic to the people that are coming. We hear stories of people that are wanting to take their last breath or don't know where they're going to pay their mortgage or any of it. And I can't help that. But I can be an ear for them so they're not having the demons in their head bring them so down to a point that they might just take that last breath, right? What we're doing for the Canadian people is far more than these politicians have ever done. They're supposed to represent the people. And they're sitting there in the House of Commons making jokes about pages of dumpster diving that have 150,000 Canadians in it. You know, this shouldn't be my job to be out here doing what we're doing. And we can't even get a politician to come and listen to these stories to maybe begin to understand why we're out here, instead of slamming us and trying to paint us in a negative light.
And in fact,
figure
Alan,
out why we're sacrificing our time.
And in fact, Alan, not only can we not get a politician out here, but let's put the cookies on the table, right? We had an MLA that was willing to help us until she found out that, and we won't mention names, but we did have an MLA that was willing to help us until she found out that orders were coming from Ottawa. Or how about my local mayor, who told us that he couldn't speak a word about us because he was already threatened to lose his federal funding on a new multiplex that they're in the middle of building right now. Like, it's the corruption is very real on the threat of humans, Canadians, coming together in masses and shutting this down once and for all. And they're deathly afraid of the unity of Canadians.
Well, Carl, I'll bring you back.
Ontario border, Cheryl, if I could ask you to speak. You've had some direct conversations with law enforcement. Care to share that without spilling too much about what the RCMP have said to you?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Let me go again here. If you can just put the phone by your ear. I was asking you because I think you had some direct conversation with the RCMP. What did they say to you off camera? Because we're talking. Miranda just said about an MLA and a mayor that aren't able to support it. What did the RCMP have said to you? You were out there, I think, last weekend.
Well, after we got the pictures and stuff taken, they actually had said to me, like, if this wasn't we had great ones. That's why I said when I got back home, it was devastating for me to see what everybody else was going through. They had said to me that this, when we take our uniform off, we'd be standing here with you, but this is our job, right? So they were really cool and kind and gave us their name, and everybody had badges on, and it was good. Like they were way over there. They weren't in our face. They weren't tormenting any of us. Like, yeah. And Amber's been out here from day one, and like I said, she stayed out here for a week with her children, and then got criticized being called a bad mom, which is like, I don't know, I think that's wrong, but that was her choice. She's a parent, and she makes the choices of the children, right? And then Seth, the friend, stayed out here right from the get-go every day, and then stayed out a week by himself here. And to be criticized and it just drives my heart nuts. But besides that, it's the RCMP. Like I said, they haven't bugged Amber at all, and then I'll pass it on to Amber. But when we were out here and I got the picture taken, I was like, oh boy, like this might get me in trouble because you guys are actually smiling with me. But like they said, we even fed them. They were cool. They were great. But we're just a small group down here, right? Like, and
we're still here.
But we're still here. We're still boots to the ground and holding the line. Like I said to Carl, and I don't know if you guys hear it, but we get a lot of excuses, and I'm like, parties right now. Because later on, when this all picks up, and people that didn't want to come out here are going to say, well, we didn't know. Well, yeah, you did. And people have choices, so kind of irks me. But that's my own personal rant. But Amber's going to pass on about her little stay out here and what happened with her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so as far as the RCMP, or no, it was the OPP, I guess, out here. They've been fantastic. They'd swing by, chit chat, they'd, just stop in and make sure everything was okay. There was absolutely no negativity. There was no nothing. They were actually wonderful, and we actually looked forward to them checking up on us, I guess, if that's the proper way to put that. When I kind of kept tabs on Facebook on what was going on at the other places, it really broke my heart to see how different things were from one place to the next. I just kind of thanked that I was very thankful that we were stuck to a positive outcome and a positive crew. Everything was positive. We didn't have any issues. We continue to not have any issues, and it's just been fantastic.
Thank you, Amber. Over to you, Miranda. How have the police been with you? Because you've been there since day one, as Dylan was mentioning earlier. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, so I've actually been here 21 days because I actually came in a day early. How have the police been for me? Well, since this last Sunday now, it's been great because, as I call them, all the goons are gone. Prior to Sunday, though, we had a lot of issues. I was probably one of the hardest hit locations for police activity. I'm also the only location that had an arrest. We had a 61-year-old great-grandmother, first time ever protesting in her life, be arrested for mischief. And we've had very heavy-handed police out here the first 2 weeks. The first 3 days were great. They worked with us extensively. We were allowed on the highway. We were allowed to set up our pylons and our safety zones for our protesters to be on the highway or on the shoulder. And then it just progressively just kept getting worse and worse and worse with them. We've had a gentleman, unfortunately, who passed away after a wellness call was called into the RCMP for him, and the RCMP ignored the wellness call, and unfortunately that gentleman died and was found 10 hours later. We had a jumper on the bridge by where we're kind of stationed. Took the RCMP 14 minutes to even have one car here, but yet if we touch that road, they're here in under 30 seconds, or they were. They're not anymore, but they were here in under 30 seconds for somebody being in the ditch. We had a lady who was picking garbage in the ditch for us. She was fine picking the garbage, and I think it was like her 5th or 6th time back into the ditch to pick garbage that she took a little flag with her in her hand. And within, I'd say, less than a minute, 2 RCMP officers came flying in here and told her she could not pick garbage in the ditch if she was carrying a flag, but she could do so if she was not carrying a flag. I had RCMP.
Okay, that begs the question, where's the rationale in that one?
I had an RCMP officer tell me that I was not allowed to ask them questions or I was going to be arrested for mischief. I was asking if there was a safety concern for us when they stormed in on us 2 weeks ago today. We had roughly 20 officers, 20 cars show up and move in on us for being in the ditch, not being up about 100 feet away from the highway. Yeah, it's been very rocky here, but I've stood my ground every bit of it, and so far this week has been a good week.
And Miranda, I think you forgot one key thing. You had said, why can't you be in the ditch compared to on the hill? What did the officers tell you?
Right. So when we got pushed off the road and up onto the hill, which is about 100 feet from the road, we were told that the reason we were not allowed to be in the ditch was because we would be impeding on traffic. And I asked, how are we impeding on traffic? And we were told because we're a distraction. And I said, but we're a distraction up on the hill as well. And the difference he told me was, and I quote, the difference in the distraction is that you're on private land up there and not on government land here.
You talk about impeding traffic in the ditch. It reminds me of an old joke. If you don't like the way I drive, get off the sidewalk. Who's driving in the ditch these days except someone who didn't want to be there in the first place? Dylan, I know you're visiting on that border today in Lloydminster, and I did interview you a few weeks ago. And for those of us that are joining us live here just now, we're talking to Axe the Tax protests that are occurring now on the Alberta and Saskatchewan border, as well as the Ontario-Manitoba border. So, Dylan, what's been the experience out on the border there, right before Moosomin on Saskatchewan?
It was kind of similar to Miranda's story. The first day was fantastic. The second day, as the numbers kind of dwindled, the police started pushing back on us, making ridiculous rules. And the one thing that I really caught on was they were playing us, Tanner and myself, against Miranda, and they were playing Miranda against the Walsh location. And they were continually saying that we had agreed to things that we never agreed on. They were playing games to try to get us all on the same page. And, we're talking multiple times a day. Communication is the most important thing to our team. So it created a lot of tension between us and the RCMP because we knew they were lying. They were just trying to get control. And the laws that they were citing and threatening us with, Carl, get this one. I was threatened with being charged with stunting. And I said, stunting? And she says, you're encouraging drivers to look to their right, honk their horn, and wave. And I just laughed.
Are you kidding me?
I'm familiar with that term, stunting. And I want to tell you, it's a catch-all. It's a catch-all ticket. When they don't know how they're going to ticket you, they'll catch you on stunting. Stunting, I had a friend of mine one time for flashing his lights on the number 2 highway between Alberta, between Edmonton and Calgary, to warn drivers of RCMP that were sitting there, and he was caught for stunting. That is, quite frankly, you got to call it the way it is. That is the biggest bullshit ticket that they've got.
Well, and Carl, I don't know, you've put a lot of miles on the road. Have you ever stopped on the side of the road and been so pushed to get moving with that truck than you were that day? And it wasn't, you went live. And I think as soon as they seen you were live and talking about what was going on, they came in on us right away and get going. They were respectful to you, but have you ever dealt with that before?
No, quite frankly, I can tell you that in all the years, and I did sort of make them aware that I am fully over that solid white line, which means I'm off the roadway and I can be here. And of course, they said, well, we'll give you 10 minutes. They're making up rules, I guess, as we go along. But the thing there is that, the officer, again, off camera, and he wanted to make sure my my phone was not recording. He said, I'm grasping at straws to force you to move. I said, I know. You actually don't have a way, because I do this all the time. Truckers are always on the side of the road doing whatever they got to do. Some of them take a nap. Some of them are forced into taking a break. Some of them sleep. Thank you, Roger, who's watching us. The volume was affected here, so hopefully it's better now. You're hearing me better. But yeah, that was actually garbage. I mean, that was truly just another power move to get me to move. But you know, and of course, I had to show my driver's license, and they took pictures of that and the plate. And well, I'll tell you right now. I think from that incident, I have a problem. I won't share it here, but I've never faced this problem. And it has to do with the fact that they took a picture of my license plate on my truck, and the company I drive for is now dealing with the consequence of that. So this all has significance. Over to you guys, Cheryl. How are again, we talked about the OPP. They've been great there. What's been the response from people? Do you have people pulling in? Do you have people, lending support? I know this is being funded by individuals who are digging into their pocket right now, and it only can go on so far.
Yeah, the first couple of weeks it was coming out of Joe's pocket herself. She's a single mom. And then once a few of us figured that was not right, we just started to pull out like a potluck kind of thing to help out. And then, yeah, that's all we can do, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be doing our barbecue right away. We're a little bit late. People are starting to leave. And I was like, hey, we got to get the barbecue going here. Because I looked at the time. I'm like, whoa. Looked at Amber. It's like, that's okay. This is important too. We got to spread the word, right? These are things that matter.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Excellent. And I love your contributing reporter. I'm very glad that you're joining us and have coordinated this report to occur from that border. Miranda, something you wanted to add to what Cheryl was just saying?
well, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm going to give you guys a view here and let you know that Dallin and I kind of have a job to do right now. And we're about to go on a pretty big slow roll through our city. And so we kind of got to go.
Well, and that's good. Just a final message then to people that are within a reasonable driving distance of you, Miranda and Dallin. What's the message that you want to get out to the people that are going to be watching this live and watching it later? Tell us in 30 seconds, what's your message?
My message is really simple. Honks are great. Conversations are better. Come out and meet the people. It's about community building. Yes, we want to axe the tax. Yes, we want the carbon tax gone. But we also want the people to come together. We want to build that unity, and we want to start building community love and appreciation for one another again, so that we can all be there for each other.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I'll let you guys go with my best wishes. Dallin and Miranda, we're going to be talking some more as we move into the weeks ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, you guys out there on that Ontario border, I know you got to go too. Barbecue is fired up and ready. People are hungry. Cheryl and Amber, there are people at a Jets whiteout right now. We don't wish them any ill will. We have no ill will for that. I know you bear the same sentiment, but what's the message to people that will pay $25 to stand in the cold versus this, which has implications for the rest of our lives at some potential? What's the message, Cheryl and Amber? Cheryl, you go first, please.
Well, my message is, like I always said, like we all have priorities. We all can choose where we want to spend our money and stuff, but this is really important as well. So it's only an hour and a half out of the city. And like I said, in the summertime, these people are going to be driving to the lake and, whatever. It'd be awesome for the support of just showing that they care about what's going on in Canada / Winnipeg, Manitoba, right? Like the people that choose to go and pay the money to go stand at the Jets, they forget that, certain people weren't allowed to go in there at one point. And then when it all came through and said and done, Everybody's all happy to go there, but at the end of the day, you should choose to come out here to support the carbon tax and whatever else is going on. Said people need to
Yeah.
be educated about Bill 63 that's coming through. That's going to change a lot of people once it starts going through. And we can't go. We didn't try stopping it because we've been on boots to the ground. We are trying to stop it. That always have excuses
All
or
right.
whatnot.
Amber.
We need to support. Like, we need to see the boots on the ground, and we do get a lot of honks, Carl, and we do get a lot of people coming in and inquiring. Because the mainstream media doesn't tell them this stuff. It's people like us. They come in and they stop and ask us, "What's this about?" "Oh, I didn't hear about this." Really? So.
Yeah, exactly. Amber, over to you for a couple of closing comments, if you will, please, before we wrap it up.
Closing comments. So I'm not sure how much longer this is going to go on, if it's going to go on into the summertime or whatever. But for anybody who's watching or listening and is able to put a little bit of thought into, how or where Canada is going to be if things continue to go in the direction that they're heading. We need your support. Everybody needs your support to number one, to try and get rid of the carbon tax. And yes, the honks are great, the conversations are great. Just a little bit of effort goes a long way in situations like this, and it would be greatly appreciated if more boots on the ground is kind of what we need. It's crucial at this point if we stand a chance to make a difference.
Right. Thank you. Well said. And I think we're going to collectively and collaboratively come together with ways that this can be funded, because it's going to be very hard on those individuals that have given up so much. They've given their time and their resources to support this. So we need to have that conversation as well. Thank you, ladies. God bless you,
Hey,
and
Carl,
stay
wait,
strong out there.
wait
Yeah,
one
Cheryl?
second, Carl.
Yes.
I want to add this for the Canadians that are new, that are watching and whatnot. I'm going to give them a little bit of education here. People got to realize that Canada is the only place in the world that has these carbon tax, right? And some people that aren't educated to know that it shouldn't be happening. We had, like I said to you earlier, we had a trucker talk to us a couple of weeks ago, and a fleet of 1,500 semi trucks that are honking all the time. Their carbon tax alone is $20,750,000 for the truckers. Like that's just crazy. And all of us were standing around going, "Really?" And he's like, "Well, that's a fleet of 1,500." But people like me and Amber and stuff, we feel it in the groceries. We feel it in our everyday living to survive. So
Bills.
my word is, like, I just want to let people know, like, think about it, that none of the other places across the world has carbon tax. Canada, don't we all have the same air? Like I don't understand it. So
Yeah.
moving forward, that's a food for thought, right?
Great question to ask, and a great way to end it. Thank you, ladies. God bless. Stay strong out there. We'll talk to you again
Thanks for
soon.
having us,
Thanks for
Carl.
having us, Carl.
Take care.
Thank you. Well, I apologize for the glitches and sound quality. It might be a problem here. We had to scramble and move from one computer to my mobile phone, but I think you got the gist of it. It is important. It is one of those things that truly does matter. And it's going to matter even more as we let this issue roll on. It affects every aspect of our life. Carbon tax is a reality. And the one single rise of 23% as of April 1st it's crippling. It has a crippling effect on many people. As I said, quality of food. People are going to opt for cheaper food as grocery prices continue to rise. And we're going to continue to cover this as it unfolds and goes into the next week and the week after that. And as I said a moment ago, we're going to look at ways to fund this. And we want to do it through our group, Things That Matter. We are a properly registered charitable organization. We've done good works in the past, and we certainly want to look at funding these people that are out there right now. So for those that you listening now and listening later, I hope this has truly been as we cover Axe the Tax, I hope this has truly been to you one of those things that matter. God bless. We'll talk again soon.